You should have just watched a video that shows you how to analyze the piece you're getting to explicate. In this video, I'm going to attempt to teach you how to write the explication. You should have already gone over it, divided it into sections, found the purpose of each of those sections, and you should have found the rhetorical strategies that they used to create that purpose. Now, if you haven't done this, I'm just going to read here. If you haven't done this or haven't done it well, go back and do it right before you watch this video. If you write without understanding the piece, your explication will be, without a doubt, complete and utter garbage. You'll get it too. You will get an absolute, if your analyzing stages are done like complete trash, your grade will be complete trash. So if you didn't think that you did the analyzing stages right, go back and watch the video before you do this, because you got to make sure that you really understand the piece. If you start writing your piece without fully understanding what it's talking about, it'll show in your explication. Your explication will be just as confused as you are. So make sure that you go back over and do that completely right, because it's the most important stage. Now I'm going to teach you how to write it. So in an explication, your purpose is to get the reader to quickly understand how the author created the meaning through their usage of rhetorical strategies. Make sure that you're doing this. If you're summarizing your piece, if you're saying, well, the author uses kind of cool words over here, and then he's kind of mean over here, and that's it, your grade's going to be trash. Just get them to understand how the meaning is created through their usage of rhetorical strategies. Don't just slap the rhetorical strategies up there. So I'm going to go over how to write your explicating paragraphs, your intro, and your conclusion in that order. So obviously the thing that we're going to do first is this. You're going to want to go straight into your first explicating paragraph by starting with the purpose of the first section that you're going to explicate. And that's exactly what they do. Once you have that down, you're going to want to go into your rhetorical strategies and just put one of them down. And that's what they do right here. And note they don't say he uses refined manner. They say through this refined manner, evident in his polite word choice, the chief clearly demonstrates. And okay, this right here is actually explicating. So through doing this, the chief is doing this. So the green right here, this is what he's actually doing. This is what he's done. But the pink is what he's meaning to do by this. This right here is explicating. This is really the core of what you're going to be doing, is you have to explain what is happening to the meaning of the piece through the rhetorical strategies. So this kind of wording can be pretty effective in doing it through, rhetorical strategy blank. The chief clearly demonstrates his appreciation for the colonist's thoughtfulness. This is extremely good explication. So you can go on and then move to your next rhetorical strategy. And this is what they've done here. They do a little bit of summarizing. They say, speaking of the education, the chief acknowledges its good intent in proposing to educate the tribe. It's very expensive, and he gives thanks heartily. Here they're tying in quotes, and you always want to use quotes. Don't quote like an entire paragraph, please, because it will get you a bad grade. I've done that before as I ran out of time, and it's not a trick that will work, and it really just makes your piece terrible to read. So you want to have small, effective quotes like esteemed, good intent, expensive. This is what they're doing. They're using small, effective quotes. They're using quotes properly. Then they go and they move into, again, what's happening by using the specific rhetorical strategy. They're not just giving you the rhetorical strategy and summarizing, but note how just like the previous thing, they have a word like through or by. They have the rhetorical strategy. Then they have what's happening. So this has a word like that. Here's the rhetorical strategy, mannered vocabulary, and what he's doing, showing gratefulness. This is what Knessetego is actually doing by using that rhetorical strategy. This is another explicating sentence. There's just one explicating sentence, then there's another one, and they're just taking one out after the other. They're being extremely inefficient here. Then right after, you have another explicating sentence. You have to fully give adequate respect to the North, Knessetego. Here we have another word, another keyword. Through and by are really big words that you can use that are pretty easy to set up your, not big like complex, I mean big that they're pretty common and they're easy to use. So you can say through, then you can just basically paste your rhetorical strategy. Then right after that, you have exactly what the author is trying to do. This is explicating sentence number 3. Now, by now you should have a little bit of a vague understanding of how explicating works. It's pretty simple. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's easier the more you do it. So real quick, we're just going to kind of recap what you learned, what you have to do in an explicating paragraph. First, you have to state your purpose. Then you have to provide 2 or 3 rhetorical strategies. Then you have to explain how it creates the meaning in the piece, just like this little strategy we learned right here. Make sure you're actually explicating and not just restating. And remember to use textual evidence and use it properly, so don't use big quotes that really don't fit. So, and then next, okay, I'm going to use a different color because this is kind of turning into mush. Alright. So then, like I said, by and though are really easy to use. So you have by again. And then you have the rhetorical strategy, kind of just paste it in there. So this is what they're doing. This is the rhetorical strategy that Knessetego used. And then right here, you have what the chief is doing by using that. Sex explicating sentence number 4. So that was one right after the other, and you didn't even know that, oh, here's their dopey explicating sentence. This seems kind of stiff and poorly done. They're just tying them together with perfect transitions and doing it so skillfully that you as the reader aren't getting this really choppy, poorly made essay. You're getting a pretty well written, well thought out piece. So by using these kinds of transitions like by and though, and then following it with really just what you just saw on the paper and summarizing it, then just putting down what that accomplishes, that kind of formula, let's put it down here. By or though, you can use a different connecting word. This isn't like a rule or a law. I mean, this is just kind of an easy way to do it effectively. By or though, then basically paste what or summarize what they're doing. Well, I mean, exactly what they say. Just summarize right here. Then here, you put what that does for the rest of the piece. It's just one right after the other. It's just a little 3-step thing to remember. It's really simple when you break it down and just remember to do your thing and just practice on it. It gets way easier the longer you do it. Although you will have several different explicating paragraphs, the explicating paragraphs, they're really just the same strategy. It's the same thing. What you also want to do is you want to show movement and how the purpose is kind of progressing as the piece goes on. So some kind of wording like this, like having made his gratefulness known, something that just shows that you're actually moving down the piece and you're taking the reader through instead of just listing things, that you're actually walking them through the essay and taking it bit by bit. So something like this that shows kind of a link between the two paragraphs. This is a little bit of a transition right here, actually. This kind of wording, like having made and stuff like that, that kind of wording can help you out and can help make your essay more well-rounded and just flow a little bit better. So you're going to want to have a sentence for your second paragraph that ties the two paragraphs that you have together. And see on their next paragraph right after that, you'll notice that, okay, erase all this. You'll notice that their next paragraph has a similarly worded transition. So having attempted, same type of wording as having made. Now that we're done with our explicating paragraphs, we're going to move on to how to write an introduction for your explication. They have a broad opening statement. Then they have a sentence that offers a transition from a general statement to their specific idea, which is the kappa sentence. So right now the yellow is their intro. The blue is the transition. And then here in the green, I'm just going to put brackets here because it'll be faster. Here in the green, this is the kappa sentence. Now your kappa sentence should cover the author's motives, their audience that they're writing to, and then their rhetorical strategies, and then the purpose. So motives, the audience, the rhetorical strategies, and then the purpose. So already this author has their broad statement, their transition from general to specific, and then their kappa sentence. And that's what they need. Also, a little quick tip to remember your general to specific, just remembering how to do that. Let's just draw an upside down triangle because it moves from, that's kind of bad, I'll redraw it, because it moves from being wide to narrow. And that's what you want to do. You want to start out broad and then narrow down to your point. Now that we have the intro out of the way, all we have left to cover is how to write your conclusion. And now here, finally, they have a sentence, not a sentence. They have a paragraph that recaps everything that they've done so far, that just kind of shows the effects of the rhetorical strategies. And then it kind of summarizes the purpose and then its overall impact that had. So this you're just kind of cover the why is this important to the reader. So right now what that means is that you're supposed to tell the reader, really, this was important because. So you're supposed to give a little bit of a recap of the rhetorical strategies and the purpose and what he did, and then you're supposed to answer the question. You're supposed to just think that the audience says at the end, so what? Who cares? I don't really care. This doesn't matter. So you're supposed to tell them, well, this was able to accomplish this. You're supposed to tell them it was important because. So you want to make sure that you answer the question of so. I'm going to make this thinner so you guys can see it better. You're supposed to answer the question of so what in your conclusion. And that's what they did right here.